everybody, it's Skully. So, I notice in a lot of my videos I talk about mental illness as a whole, um, but I don't always feel like when I talk about the topics as a whole, like, okay, I can tell you what certain symptoms are, what anxiety is, what depression is, but what does it feel like exactly? Because I feel like part of discussing some of these topics is not only um, what they are, but what they feel like. I'm sorry, this video is probably going to be all over the place because I'm spacing out super bad today. My brain just does this sometimes. I get a lot of anxiety just nonstop, like a revolving door, and then once I start feeling better, or sometimes even maybe during it, I just feel so disconnected from everything. I can barely concentrate on anything, and I just feel so far away. Like, this just doesn't even feel like real life. And honestly, from what I understand, it's probably derealization because that happens to a lot of people. But again, how it sounds versus how it feels are two completely different things. And sometimes you can just have symptoms like this and not even always realize that it's happening until you maybe think about it a little bit more, notice certain patterns, certain symptoms. Oh boy, yeah. Because what I feel is just very hard to explain. And I think I've probably felt like this at least a good most of today, probably even yesterday too. And with having bipolar disorder, I feel like it's like that too. Um, Describing the episodes, like I'm used to them, I have them a decent amount and I have for a long time, but actually trying to explain them, like how they feel, can vary from one person to the next. And I just had one fairly recently that, yeah, I could feel it as soon as it showed up. But it was definitely kind of hard to explain to people around me what was going on. I mean, maybe not in my mind, but I don't know how much of it they really understand. You know, they see my speech getting really fast and my mind being all over the place. They can see it, but they don't always know what's happening. So, sometimes when I have episodes like that, it just really feels like my brain's in like this big funk afterward or even during, because during it's always hard to concentrate and just do daily things. But I feel like even afterward, I feel like there's kind of like this crash or just kind of like this ugh that happens afterward, like when you slam on when you're driving and you slam on the brakes. It kind of feels like that. It's like your brain finally is aware of what's going on, and it's like, oh, okay, we're back in reality now. So as soon as I feel that little oomph inside of my mind, I'm like, oh great, are we gonna start going forwards or backwards now? Like, okay, if it's mania, is depression gonna come after this, or is it gonna be a pretty straightforward ride for a little bit, and then maybe the depression hits later, because you just never know what happens next. So as I've gotten older and I've learned more about other mental illnesses, I've really reminded myself the same thing. Like, I'm reading this in a textbook or I'm reading this wherever, but what does it actually feel like for that person to experience it? And if somebody else has the same disease, does it feel different to them than it does to the person who's explaining it to me, their experiences? So mental illness can be very weird like that. And just the other thing that feels kind of weird about it sometimes too is not only how it can vary from one person to the next, but then there are certain things, stress, triggers. Everybody has triggers, whether you want to admit it or not. It's okay. You'll have them. Um, but yeah, you occasionally find yourself in situations where you think you're gonna freak out or overreact, and ordinarily maybe you even would, but for some reason it happens, and then you're just kind of sitting there like, oh, okay, and you don't react nearly as much as you would think, because it's like you're kind of more. Sometimes it can be because you're just more emotionally numb from things like anxiety and stress, but sometimes I just think that, I don't know, it's like we surprise ourselves. Maybe, I mean, I tell people I think we're stronger than we think we are, and it presents itself at interesting moments like that. And I don't know, I just kind of came to that kind of realization just recently, and I don't know, it was just kind of empowering when I thought about it. Like, it was just a sense of relief when you're going through life and having things like anxiety, and you just really are putting yourself down for having it. And then suddenly something happens where you handle it better than you think, or maybe it just eventually just, maybe the nervousness, that heaviness in your chest from feeling anxious just kind of disappeared, and then you're just kind of like, oh wow, proud of yourself that you handled things like that really well. It's like we need that occasional reminder that we're not only human, but we're still stronger than we think we are, and we don't have to let things like stress or just simply being human stop us from living our best lives, still trying, always making ourselves better people. So that's an important thing to do, is just to never lose sight of something like that. And I think most people have a desire to be good, to do good, but sometimes that willpower can kind of diminish, or just kind of be in the background as we get older. We get busy, life gets busy, and you don't want to lose the part of you that makes you human, keeps you going, keeps you ticking, because we all have something that lights us up on the inside, makes us happy. So when you're struggling, it's really important to keep a hold of that thing that keeps you going, the thing that wakes you up in the morning, makes you always just look forward and keep your chin up even when things are difficult. So, sorry if this video is a little bit weird and kind of spur of the moment. I've been trying to make videos and trying to make time, trying to get the energy to do so, and my energy's been plummeting lately, but I definitely thought I would try to create a nice little segment, and for anybody who's struggling out there and needs some kind words, I'll be here to give you some advice for that when you need it. So, until next time, have a great day, guys.